Hi guys, welcome to possibly the final episode of Hellgate London, the Steam version, at least for this year. My name is Wilfred. Now, today's video, I'd like to address a couple of things here. So I'm going to put the time code below my video description, just in case you want to jump to the part that you would like to listen to. So the first topic I'd like to talk about is the sudden frame rate drop that issue that you have. There is one last resort that I found that useful to do, and I'd like to share that with you. If you really have tried everything and it doesn't work, and that may work for you, that's the last resort of it. The second topic I'd like to talk about is the various different versions of the game, because people do get confused about the Hellgate London versus the original one, the Steam version, and other mods to it, multiplayer version. So I'd like to just spend some time talking about that as well, because I may play other version instead. Now then I'd like to provide a final review to this game, because I've already played close to 100 hours to it. So I think 100 hours possibly has some kind of like at least I've experienced almost everything the game has offered. I would like to give a final review on it, because sometimes I do make a review after 8 hours, and this is just the first impression. So I'd like to wrap that up. And last but not the least, this is the first 3 Tokyo bosses that you can see in the expansion. So the first one is rather easy, the second one is harder, and the third one was really hard. It took a really long time. There's a fourth one as well, but unfortunately I will not be able to record that because of the frame rate issue that I'm having. Alright, so now topic number 1 is the sudden frame rate drop. So if you read the review in Steam and you read the forum, there's a lot of people talking about having issue about the they call it 1 frame per second problem that people having. Then you know, some people say they don't have it, and some people say they do have it, and half of the review is negative due to the problem that this game have. So you may get a little bit confused, like, you know, will I have problem? Will I not have problem? Should I try it and should I refund it? The answer to this is such. There's no point in trying to see whether you have a problem and then refund it, because in order to witness the problem, you probably would need to spend more than 2 hours playing this game. The first couple of levels it runs very smoothly. The first 2 hours any machine will run fine. The problem comes when the game runs about, like, when you become like level 6 or level 10, then the frame rate drop issues start to appear. Now you could turn down the setting, like I said before. So things like the shader is one setting that you could set to medium, and then quality set to low, and then you can start to lower down the requirement, like the model set to high, but the effect as well as there's one last one below the effect, you can set it to medium. So there are things that you could do to manage the situation, but the problem is still there. And depending on person to person, machine to machine, if you are using an AMD chipset, very likely you don't have an issue. I don't know why. But if you are using a modern day Intel machine, nothing to do with the machine speed or so on, a modern day machine, Intel machine, very likely you will hit the problem when you go to like maybe 40 hours with the game and so on, and become a little bit unplayable. Now, if during mission a bit of drop here and there, you can still manage it, because it's just a mission. You can just like let it go for half a minute or so. But there may come a point in time when it comes to the boss fight, when the frame rate drop issue appear, and that become very significant, because it's just impossible to get through a boss. Boss is like a gate to the next stage of the game. So and then for me, I've experienced the very bad frame rate issue when I hit the last Tokyo mission, when I go to the Edo Castle. Every fight, like half a minute to 1 minute stop. It took me about 3 hours to get to the final boss, and the final boss just freezes up. No way to play it. So now how do you get around it, right? So understanding where the problem is important, because this is a 32-bit game client. So 32-bit game client, they will use 1 core on it. Doesn't matter how many cores your machine have. Mine has 8 core. You may have more or less. But so what happened is that if you launch the game not via the launcher. So there are a couple of ways to launch a game. One is via Steam, of course. Another way is that if you go to Steam and there is a browse local files, you go to property of the game, browse local file, you can go to a local directory. And then there's a hellgate.exe or whatever. Don't use that. There's another exe inside the bin directory. The bin directory, I think there's something called a single player kind of like 84 kind of game file. So launch that one instead. Now, when you do that, do not launch Steam. So you must exit Steam, because Steam also, the bootstrapper of Steam is a 32-bit client. So that will use the same core as the Hellgate London, the Steam version. And as you can see, I mean, the more application you have that share the same core, the more problem the game will have, obviously. For me, I use Razer as well, CNESys, so that is also a 32-bit client. So, it depends on how many programs you have, 32-bit programs that are running in your machine, and the more you have that runs, the higher chance you have the one frame rate, one FPS problem, right? So just to repeat, as a last resort, right? I'm not saying that they will solve every one of the problem. As a last resort, exit Steam. Do not use Steam. Launch the game from the bin directory of the Hellgate. So not through the launcher, but from a bin directory. That would bypass the Steam version. And I think that is probably the only way that you can play the game smoothly, and that's probably the way that the developer has tested the game, so as to speak. So try that. It helped for me. I can revisit the Edo Castle. No frame rate drop issue at all. So the core, my CPU is still at the max, but at least it's almost dedicated one core to this game, and it works for me. All right. So now the second topic I'd like to talk about is the different version of the game. So you know that this is a Steam version. Steam version released about a month or so ago. So this version is the one that taken over by Habitsoft, a Korean company that have made it into a Hellgate Global in the past as an MMO, and then after that they have converted the game into single player. So it's a lot of fights like this one here. It's a huge area, big boss, but only one person. Why? Because there's no longer a multiplayer option. So it get a little bit lonely as well, and a bit strange as well, because you have to tank, you have to heal, and you have the DPS at the same time. But it is just what it is. So this is the Steam version, single player, Korean company converted from the from the original Hellgate version. Now, the original Hellgate version has two versions, or at least two to three versions, depending on how you see it. So the original DVD has a Southeast Asia version, the UK, the European version, as well as US version. If you are playing the Southeast Asia version like myself, there's no point in playing the game anymore, because you can only patch this game up to the single player, I think patch 1.3. You cannot patch the multiplayer 2.0 in it, and also because of the different version, all the mods out there that make the game more fun by the community will not work for the Southeast Asia version. So if you have one Southeast Asia version, don't bother buying it. If you want to play the game, if you are in Southeast Asia and you don't like the Steam version because there are a lot of problems in the forum and so on, then my suggestion is that buy the US version. I'm not sure whether UK version works or not. I think it works as well, the EU version. There are patches for it. But buy the US version. That's what I did. I spent about $20 buying the original disc, and it's sealed and nicely from eBay. So get the version. The good thing about that version is that you can patch up the single player 1.3 version, as well as the multiplayer 2.0 version with it. So with that said, then you can have all the community mods inside. Now, what are there out there? There are like a revival mod that make it the single player a lot more fun, and also there's something called London 2038, which is a fan-based, fans-hosted server for people who like to play the multiplayer version. So if you own the US version, you apply all the necessary patches, go to london2038.com, sign up account, is on alpha right now, and you can play the multiplayer version. I think they have up to Abyss, if I'm not wrong. They have Stonehenge, definitely, and this you can play with people, play with friends, and so on. So do that instead of getting the Steam version if you like to play with friends. Okay, so that are the just to recap. There are multiple versions. Southeast Asia version of the game, forget about it. You can throw that away. Steam version is what you see right now. I have a review in just a bit. And the US version, yes, get the US version if you want to play the game. That is one good version to have, and you can patch it up and you can play the multiplayer as well through the London 2038 website. Alright, so with that said, that sums up my my topic on the first two topics. So now the third topic is a final review on this game. It is it's a hard one because the game is not expensive. You get it on discount. It's about $10 right now, Christmas discount. Is it worth it or not? But let's go through the pluses. Then we go through the minuses, and then you can make your own judgment. So the good thing about this game is that it has all these convenience items that you don't see that in the base game, because the base game is a little bit clunky. For example, there are a lot of loot, and then when you loot the stuff, you have to dismantle them, and you dismantle them one by one. So it is really a pain because you have to look into your bag, and then after that in the middle of a fight, and then after that look at all the items and dismantle one by one, and you have to right click one, right click another one, right click another one, and then after that you can continue to play. So there's something called the auto dismantler, which it will automatically dismantle all the item up to a certain rarity level that you set. So that's beautiful. There are other things like the inventory bags. There are things that you can have all these convenience item whereby you can upgrade an item without risking the item getting downgraded or risking the item getting destroyed. So there are quite a lot of very good item. There's something called radar as well. The radar is the one that will show in your minimap where all the elites are, where the bosses are. It becomes very easier when you sort of like farming. When you go to a large map farming, you don't need to cover the entire area because you can see all these like purple stars or yellow star or blue star on your minimap. So there's a lot of very nice convenience items that I find it very useful. And also everything up to on the base game itself, so not on the second attack, I don't believe things, not on the Abyss, and definitely not on the Tokyo. There's something called Messenger from Hell. So once you destroy a certain number of mobs up to a certain number, and then the Messenger of Hell will appear, and then it will drop very nice gear, and you're very happy because there's a lot of gear for you, and there's a lot of mobs, so mob get respawned. So that is beautiful. You have that kind of fun up to the base game. So beyond which, like the Stonehenge, Abyss, Tokyo map, second attack, none of them will have the Messenger from Hell kind of mechanism. So the loot is sort of like a little bit meh. You still need to kind of like farm a little bit, but you still get gear, mainly from farm, from questing itself. They have some item for you to get. So that is that's nice, but so it's something that's different from the original game, and there's something like an end game progression. So for those people who like to grind stuff, because some like it, some don't, right? Some like to just continue play, have a purpose to play. So after you level to 55, there's a level cap. You could gain ranks. So you can gain rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To get rank up to 50, all you need to do is just keep playing. You get XP while playing, and you gain rank. The rank will give you expertise points, whereby you can further invest into your character. So you can make your character more defensive, more offensive, or what have you. So for example, for me, I put it all on my pet damage, and the minions does more damage, and it's nice. You could put it on health or your own damage or shield, whatever, what have you. So the expertise system works something like every rank you get 1 point, and then after that you could also get the spend expertise points into your expertise. Each level of the expertise will require another level will require more points. So the first level is 1 point, second level is 2 points, third level is 3 points, fourth level is 4 points, fifth level is 5 points. So all in all, 10 points. I think you get the or what have you. Then you you can get the the full points to it. And the good thing about it is not a diminishing return, it's actually bilinear. So the more point you put in, the more kind of like, you know, awesome you become. And because there's a convenience item that's for you to reset your expertise point as well. So every rank that you gain, you can put in somewhere first, and then when you get extra one, you can reconfigure again, you know, every other time. So that is a good thing about it. Now, let's talk about the not so good thing about this game, and this is something quite significant, and you have to get be totally aware that this game very likely will not run in your machine. If you're running an Intel machine that is modern day, multi-core, very likely you have problem running this game. The graphic is also not so good, and you have to put the setting low. And like I said before, you may have to not use Steam to play this game. So for me, the deal breaker would be this sudden frame rate issue. I heard this issue has been around for 10 years with the same developer. So they would not be able to fix it for you. So whatever problem that you may face, you will face, you have to manage it, manage the situation. There's no fix to it. Maybe graphic lowered it to, you know, even lowest. Maybe you have to run it as a dedicated core to run this this game or whatnot, depending on how techy you are. But to me, that was the main disadvantage of it. The second thing is also about grinding, because all the gear in this game is designed towards the end game, which is level 55, rank 50. Now, it is a very long time to reach there. If it is a multiplayer game, you probably wouldn't mind because you play with friends and so on. Every day you play with friends, you don't really feel that kind of like drag to it. But if you're going to play the single player game for hundreds of hours, I may have an issue with it, because I don't expect, I mean, I want to get most from the single player game, but I also want to play other classes and whatnot, right? And it occurred to me that in order to use some of this really awesome kind of gear, I have to put in hundreds of hours for one character for a single player game. Now, to you maybe not a deal breaker, but for me, it just, the grinding is a little bit too heavy. I may not want to like put in so much time into a single player game at this moment. That is not only single player game, put it this way, a game that is not really evolving, so as to speak. And by the way, it's also incomplete. Some of the bosses no drop, some of the like transmog cube is not working. There are also other bugs to it, but it's not game breaking, but just bugs. So I haven't seen a mythic gear yet. So all this set gear, mythic gear that they talk about, I have not seen at all. So maybe it's incomplete, maybe it's not there. But it's something that I think you should also pay attention to when you try to see whether you buy in Steam. I would say I would prefer US version of DVD game and put the mods to it. Join the London 2038. That would be my preference rather than playing this. But yeah, I mean, hey, I spend about less than $10. I play about 100 hours or so. I get to a point where I can't quite finish a game, but I don't know whether I should spend another hundreds of hours to finish the game. So it is just what it is. Do leave me a comment box below what you think about this. And do you think this is a game that you like to play? And you can drop me any question. I'm more than happy to answer you. And thank you so much for watching. And my channel will continue to feature other games as I play. And I may revisit Hellgate London, but probably in another kind of like version to it. Maybe the multiplayer version. Alright, so I'll see you next time, and have an early Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Bye bye.